Well, I guess let's get started. Dave, do you want to kick things off?
I do. So first and foremost, thank you everybody for joining. This is Dave Dyas, Channel Chief for ITS. Just real briefly, thank you for coming to the webinar. It goes along with our theme. We want to educate, inform, and engage you as our partners. And I'm going to make a couple of comments to you. First and foremost, it is very rare in an industry where a provider like ITS can bring something new to the channel where there is opportunity. And there's a great opportunity here to get ahead of the game and to learn more about what today's webinar is. This is something brand new to you, and it's something that we're on the lead, we're on the forefront with the Mercedes dealerships nationwide. As you guys know, and you'll hear more about, Mercedes North America came out with a new mandate, and that mandate really is something why you're here, right? So quick suggestion to everybody, right? Get a notepad, get a pen. There's going to be some Q&A in the back half of this. This is not a long briefing, but is very informative. And what it is opportunity for all of you really to find new deals that are in your, that you can get into your pipeline. And these are quick opportunities to get a new logo for you. So thank you, Justin and Rob, for jumping in on this and putting this together. We greatly appreciate it. And I know this is time sensitive in terms of what Mercedes has to do. I'm going to hand it off to you two, the experts in the room, to take it over. So let her rip, guys.
All right. Thanks so much, Dave. Really appreciate that. So welcome to the conversation today. Mercedes dealership cyber mandate, what you need to know. We're going to explore some of the changes that Mercedes OEM has recently mandated, and this is affecting Mercedes-Benz dealerships nationwide. My name is Rob Schenk. I'm with Intelligent Technical Solutions, and here we help businesses thrive by managing and securing their technology. A few housekeeping notes. Conversation should run about 20, 25 minutes or so. We'll stick around for some questions at the end. Happy to take some questions during the webinar. So if you'd like to go ahead and pop that in the Q&A button, little button they have in your Zoom toolbar there, we'll go ahead and note those and make sure that we get to it today. So let's get started here. You're going to notice in the lower right corner a QR code. That QR code is going to lead to a scheduling widget for folks that want to have some conversations and get some consultations started. For today's discussion, I'd like to welcome our very special guest, Justin Shanken. He has 20 years of experience in counterintelligence and cybersecurity with the U.S. Army, Department of Defense, formerly CEO of Blackbreach. Focusing on protecting auto dealerships and U.S. national security interests. He's now Chief Security Officer at ITS, delivering trusted, cost-effective, military-grade cybersecurity solutions that are aligned with U.S. defense priorities. So welcome, Justin.
Hey, thank you. It's good to have everyone here, and I appreciate the time. There's a lot to cover, but it's pretty streamlined.
All righty. Appreciate that. So to get started, we'll just quick review of what we're going to be talking about today. We'll talk about the new mandate that Mercedes has issued to its down-level dealerships. We'll talk about a couple phases of cybersecurity risk management, and we'll go talk through some of the solutions that you can bring to your down-level clients and how best to interact with ITS and steps that dealerships need to go ahead and get started to go ahead and get compliant. Alrighty, so let's get into the crux of things here. So Justin, Mercedes-Benz Corporate has recently announced a new mandate, and that new mandate requires that dealerships make a series of cybersecurity improvements. It's the first automaker that's really started this process and unlikely to be the last. So can you kind of summarize what's the deal here, and let's set the stage for what's going on here?
Yeah, so just very quickly, like you said, Mercedes is the first to do this, and that makes it very special very opportunistic for the channel partners on this, as well as sales in general. So we've already seen quite a bit of growth in cybersecurity within the automotive industry. A few years ago, they made the FTC compliance. This is all to protect essentially customer data and personal information. And long story short, automotive kind of fought this and said, hey, we don't really have customer data. And the government said, no, you're a bank. You're basically taking, you're doing loans, you're taking all this private information, and there's no regulation of how you're protecting it. And unfortunately, it wasn't really being protected, if we're being honest with ourselves. Well, that's a few years deep, and we've seen some lawsuits and growth in cybersecurity within auto. And the next step, and we kind of called our shots. I didn't know it was going to be Mercedes, but we knew it was coming from the OEMs. And I think a lot of lawsuits have kind of driven this as it goes up chain, as Mercedes said, hey, you know what? All dealers, you are going to be regulated now, not just in cybersecurity, but you have to get an audit and prove this. Now, we've seen this in HIPAA in hospitals. We've seen this in DSSPCI and SOC 2 and many other types of audits, CMMC within government. But this has never really happened in auto until Christmas. So when I say we're on the front of this since Christmas, we had to literally at ITS build this framework because it's European. So what has made this a little odd to everyone is many folks out there might know what ISO 27001 is, but unfortunately that's very broad. That's a big, big thing. And I think our next slide will talk about the differences between the two. But TISAX is one you probably haven't heard of, including me, right? An expert in the field, and it was something that Europe put together to streamline for automotive. So we'll discuss those next, but here's the big thing. It's due September 2026. It has to be audited. It has to be done by OEM. What they will, I don't know what the teeth is right now, but we are working with Mercedes-Benz USA corporate, and we've been a approved vendor through them. So we'll see as this matures. Now, you may say, well, September 2026, that's so far out. No, unfortunately, to fill these gaps, as we'll talk about, especially with the ISO side and the TISAX, it's going to take 9 months plus. So this is a quick move, if I were being honest. So
Here and now. So time to get on top of this for sure.
Yeah.
And a great opportunity for all of us. So let's talk about, what's changed, and let's talk through what are the new expectations? What do dealerships need to be doing?
So if you get to right here, we really need to address kind of the elephant in the room, right? What is ISO 27001 versus TISAX? ISO is a very, very broad thing, and they gave them the option. This was already sent out internally to all Mercedes owners and dealers, and it has now kind of slowly worked its way to the IT element. So I wouldn't be surprised if you start talking with your Mercedes connections out there, for everyone I'm talking to in the room from a sales perspective, and they go, thank you for telling me. Please give me more information, because I literally have a meeting right after this with another Mercedes dealer. I had one yesterday. It is just shooting fish in a barrel. And so they all are going, please help us. So ISO is very large. It is a very broad thing. It's been around for a long time. TISAX has been built off of ISO, but here's the problem. Because ISO is so large, it's more expensive to meet all these different gap requirements. And the reality of it is they don't really need a lot of these things in automotive. So when they built TISAX, automotive is literally designed for this, but there's even things within that that are a little odd that aren't needed for dealerships. So a lot of it has been research and development and stuff that goes to big OEM Mercedes, but no dealer is doing research and development. So we had to build a framework around this, and ITS has done that. Because when you ask the client, the Mercedes dealer, hey, which one you want? You have a choice. You got ISO or you got TISAX. They're going to say, isn't the TISAX a more streamlined? Nobody's going to want to go with ISO. And ISO takes probably about 11 months to get through. So we had to create that because it was all built in Europe. So we have that now, and that makes us special. So that's great. Everybody gets a pat on the back. But I think we get a pat on the back that we did it since Christmas. So we had to get this in a framework in a month and be the first out of the gate. And so that's what's gained a lot of attention with partnering with us on it. But it is very limited knowledge. But the one thing I want everyone in this room to kind of know, it's limited of what the IT knows. It has to be audited at the end of this. And so we're partnering with auditors right now of basically saying, hey, we want to make sure there are no surprises. And we're actually in the process of becoming an auditor ourselves, even though the fox can't guard the hen house. We can't do both. And we're going to put our focus in the gap assessments. And we'll talk about that here in just a little bit.
All right. So let's talk about the gap assessment itself. So can we go ahead and what's involved? What's the process like? How complex is it? Is it easy? Let's talk it through.
So we had to build it. right? Gap assessments are very common. You all have dealt with this. If you dealt with cyber or anything, getting a gap assessment to whether this or CMMC or anything else is extraordinarily SOC 2 Type 2. But unfortunately, doing it for TISAX was a little challenging, right? Because not only is it a new thing, it's also European. And the Europeans with GDPR and other stuff out there have taken cybersecurity extraordinarily serious. The other thing to realize is it's not just cybersecurity. You'll hear me say that just because of my background and my capabilities and where I come from, but it is very IT. There's some physical security elements. It's a much more broader approach to the overall dealership to make sure that they are ready and protected for court, for possible cyber elements, etc. So what we put together was this. We're coming in. We are putting together a platform that is a single price, and I'm going to say the pricing in here now because so far we've had really good luck with it. We've done it at $8,000 as a single price, right? NRR, right? A single engagement. We find the gap. Unfortunately, we don't know what we don't know. So whatever comes out of this gap assessment, we're trying to knock them out first come, first serve. And we've had a lot of Mercedes dealers that are jumping on this because they need to have that extra time of how to fill that gap. Some people, it will be very large. They'll be way off the mark. Some might be not so hard, but we don't know what we don't know. We've added on the back end, you may go, well, $8,000 is not a lot of money. We've added also $500 as an MR, a monthly recurring. Here's what we've had in that. We had to build this in a framework, and we get them a license for that, and we collect all artifacts or paperwork, and that goes into the framework, and once a month, they get an hour with one of our experts. The reason why we've approached it this way is essentially you have two options. Hey, dealership, have you heard of TISAX? Nope, don't know what you're talking about. Have you heard about this new compliance? Don't know, but I really want to know because this stuff happens every week now. Okay, well, you have two approaches. You can either go with TISAX or ISO. Hey, TISAX seems streamlined. Let's take a look at that. You can either tackle it after we come on and we do the gap assessment. Here's your gap. Here's what you need. Here's the roadmap. You can either A, tackle it yourself, and that could be with themselves or another IT firm or whatever they decide. And then once a month, we help them to go, yeah, you're doing the right things, or hey, you're off the mark, or you've done nothing and time is ticking. What we've noticed is with the clients I'm working with and the Mercedes dealers I'm talking to, they have been, I'll be honest with you, shut up and take my money, right? They found it a very fair price. Where the real money comes in, and we'll talk about this again later, is that next step. So this is getting into the dealerships, but we had to really build a new offering for this. So I'm sure there'll be questions more predicated on what the offering is, but I just want you to know we've actually worked with Mercedes-Benz USA on this, and they really like the approach and have asked us to basically report back to them of how far are the gaps, how close or far away are they? So there's a lot that's wrapping into this.
All right, so let's talk about what happens next. So how can we help our trusted advisors identify potential opportunities, and how best do they interface with our experts, Justin?
So just kind of going off the slide here and walk you through it. This doesn't require much from everyone in the room. If you have Mercedes-Benz contacts, especially at the dealership level, or maybe at a management or GM or something like that, I would encourage you to just engage them, and it's a very short conversation. Hey, what are you doing about this compliance? And you're going to get one of two answers. I don't know what you're talking about, or we are aware of it. We don't really know what to do. Because I've already talked with probably about 20 different folks at different levels, and they are not prepared to answer that right now. And they really are looking for help. And they're kind of like, hey, if we can hand it off to you and you're experts at this, yeah, let's go with that. So when we put together the gap assessment, there is no obligation, right? They don't have to have a gap assessment, but without it, they're essentially lost. It's kind of one of those things where you don't have to have it, but you have to have it. So you have to have the audit at the end of the day. That's mandatory. But how you get there without something like this, they're just kind of, they're riding in the blind. And so we're trying to be there. My goal is for everyone out there to tee us up to have a conversation with them very quick out of the gate. Hey, are you familiar with this? No, you're not familiar with this is usually the answer. Hey, we have the experts in it. Let us bring that in. Can we do that? And usually that's the winning success that we've had so far within a day 27 of the new year. So it's been very fast and furious.
So once an opportunity has been identified, can you talk through what are some questions that we can arm our trusted advisors with so they can kind of understand the scope of the potential opportunity?
So I've already said a few of these, but these are more refined. I think the team here at ITS, we tried to build these for y'all. I highly recommend, if you haven't yet, take a snapshot with your phone. These are the questions. You're like, take a picture of this. This is kind of the cheat sheet. Hey, have you reviewed Mercedes' new TISAX or ISO 27001 cybersecurity requirements? How are you approaching them? Really, it's just an open-ended question. I've said that a few times already on this chat. The second is, hey, how close are you to meeting this? And they're going to be like, we don't even know what it is. Now, I do want to bring up one thing that we've kind of rode by. For those of you that know the automotive industry, and I've been in it, fortunately, for a while, there are rooftops, right? That's how they speak. Hey, how many rooftops do you have? You could have, I mean, we have some with 100 rooftops. We have some with 1. A rooftops is just a dealer, right? Are you Mercedes? But here's the trick. There's auto groups. Auto groups can be, as you know, they could have, Toyota. It could have Mercedes in there. But here's the catch. If you have Mercedes in this auto group, you basically have to do the whole group. There's no real way. It would cost double to isolate just that one, and it wouldn't work right. So the opportunity for that gap with these larger groups is significantly affluent. There's a lot of money there. There's just a lot of money there to fill this. Because what you find is, as we all know, auto dealers and dealerships love to buy other dealerships. They buy a new dealership, they buy a new deal, and they're always plugging in new opportunities that are not ready to connect the dots. And as they do that, if they have a Mercedes attached, they're going to need to get them under this compliance framework. Now, I will say this. We talk a lot about Mercedes, but coming down the pipe and through my connections, other European dealers are next. This is just, the Mercedes was just first there. I've heard about Volkswagen. I've heard about Porsche. We've heard about Audi. BMW is right there. A lot of these, because in the EU, this is common sense to them. We're dragging our feet a little bit in America. I can also see the Japanese and South Korean auto groups, OEMs, getting on board very quickly. So by already being in front of this with the Mercedes dealers, we're way ahead of it. So provider capability. Does your IT provider, MSP, have experience running these? So if they do give you the answer of like, oh, I've got an IT group. Okay, do they know how to do this? I did have one dealership. I like to speak in real experiences. We just had, they love us. We're already in there for other things, for cybersecurity, but they said, hey, I have to get 3 proposals, no matter how small. The guy wants to go with us, but he basically said, we're looking to go with one big group, and another one was like a local provider. We got that information back. They provided us the 2. They showed us we looked at the proposals. They didn't know what they were doing because nobody knows what TISAX is. So if you don't have someone that specifically, do not get misled. Oh yeah, we do compliance. I'm not talking about compliance. I'm talking about this compliance. Do you see what I'm saying? Not all compliance is weighed differently. So be careful that, that they don't get kind of lumped into the wrong thing, as well as you too, of who can provide this and who not. Do you have a partner with the audit firm? So a lot of the auditors are in Europe right now. There are some that are US bound, but we're actually in talks with them of trying to help with that. And as those auditors come on, we are working with them to be experts with that. So there's no, hey, auditor, you look for this? Yeah, we're already, is there anything that you're specifically looking for? And the last is the timeline. We've already discussed this, but unfortunately, actually one of the Mercedes dealers I'm meeting with right after this call, literally, she came from a outside automotive and said, ISO takes a year to do. She already knew it. But the only reason why she knew it was because she got brought into automotive and did this at her last company. So folks that do know this, that deal with ISO or any other major NIST compliance, realize it's going to take a while. So I think this is a really good cheat sheet we put together for you all.
Awesome. So let's talk through how trusted advisors and ITS can kind of win together. So can you talk through the pricing, the opportunities, what happens post-assessment and post-audit what are the opportunities that we can look forward to working and running together?
So I stole my own thunder slightly of giving you guys the pricing. Again, it's $8,000 just for a single event and $500 ongoing. But the real weight of this is after we show them the gap, they then go, well, how do we bridge that? How do we bridge this gap? And we already have all the answers for this. But the problem is we just don't know what we don't know. So the goal for us is to get this done. Hopefully these done within a couple weeks. We're trying to get a turnaround very fast with it. We've even brought on a couple folks that are just doing these. That way it gives us the most time through the year to be able to maximize the profits. Now, here's the catch. That's a good catch for them. If they hire ITS and you and ITS together as a partner, and we come in and we do the MRR, the monthly recurring revenue for whatever the gap is, we will roll in that $500. So they won't be out that money. So they're already, at the beginning, they're already committed slightly of having this, and they have to have that. We have to keep all the documentation, everything for them. They also get audited once a year. One of them is annually and one of them is every 3 years, but they've kind of flirted back and forth. But the reality of it is, even after an audit and they pass and everybody celebrates, they're going to turn around and have to do this again, and they're going to change their environment. They're going to buy new dealerships. They're going to lose dealerships. The environment's going to change. So this is an ongoing thing. So the MRR capability for this is very large. So again, if they bring us in for that, we can roll that 500 in, and it just kind of goes in a positive direction for sales. So secondary, we kind of write it there. Secondary sales is the plan.
All right, so let's talk through next steps. So how do trusted advisors engage with us? You can go ahead and scan that QR code. That's going to link to calendars, and we'll go ahead and schedule a meeting with you directly. You can drop us an email at secure@itsasap.com. That'll get this things into the queue. Any other steps, Justin, from your perspective, or should we just start jumping to questions?
One last thing. I've been working with I work with a lot of channel partners, with the big ones, the little ones. Channel was newer to me, but Dave's got me full throttle with this. So, and I love it. I love it. I love the opportunity. I love the environment, and I love the hunt of it. It's really good. However, what I've always offered, if you have a group that you can put together, maybe it's Mercedes, maybe it's dealerships, maybe it's something, we can put a webinar together just for your group. I do this at 20 groups all the time. I speak at NADA. In fact, the next one's coming up just in a couple weeks. We're all going to be in February, National Automotive Dealers Association, for those that don't know. So automotive is very cliquish, right? They're very cliquish, and they know a lot of folks. So if you have a grouping like that and say, hey, I'd like to just reach them all at one time, we can do that. It doesn't have to be one at a time. So
sounds good. All right, so we got a couple questions coming in, so let's address those. So what is the likelihood of this extending to other OEMs beyond Mercedes?
Massive. This is happening. In fact, like I said before, if you have an auto group and they have a Mercedes, it basically lumps in the whole auto group, or it doesn't make sense for them. It would be backwards not to do that. So in that case, it's already kind of have a trickle down effect a bit. But like I said, I think Europeans are going to be first. We're already keeping up with that in chatter. Volkswagen and Porsche already mandate this for their vendors. So for them to turn it on for their dealers is the next flip of a wrist, right? So it's already happening in very different little subsections. So yeah, they already mandate this for their vendors, and I think we're going to see this come very fast, actually. I think Mercedes is it's going to be a domino effect.
Yeah. Once a dealer completes the assessment, like what is it what do they actually get? Yeah, is it a report? Is it like a roadmap? Like just what's involved? What's included?
That's a great question. So we have an expert that comes in. We built it within this framework, this tool that we built for TISAX, because I think TISAX is going to be the way to go for everyone, for cost as well as time. They will receive a report. It will have gaps in there of each subsection that will be required for the audit and how to meet those gaps. And we'll create roadmaps for that. And again, at that point, they have a choice. Hey, I've got this report. Do I want to tackle this myself, Or do I want to get an expert help? Or do I want to find my own third-party expert? But as part of it, there's the monthly meeting. They get 1 hour with one of our VCSOs, right? One of our experts that basically comes in and goes, hey, how have you done? How have you been? Okay, we got that. Where are my artifacts? You have to prove it. And then we upload those artifacts. So when they get the audit, this framework that we've built was basically a cheat sheet. Hey, auditors, we're already doing this. And just so you know, we have a lot of offerings that are already automotive specific. So when we go to them to fill these gaps, whether it's cybersecurity or general IT or physical security, we already have offerings for this. We're not like scrambling, trying to make a weird thing for somebody. It's going to be like, hey, here's the way to fill these gaps.
Yeah. So similar to the government contracting sector, do you think that you kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier? Do you think that Mercedes-Benz upline and downline suppliers and partners are also going to be affected?
Yes. So like I said before, we do have this in Volkswagen. Mercedes is doing this also with their vendors. So we're actually trying to reach out to vendors too. That's an opportunity as well if they deal with Mercedes. But I think the easiest way to approach this and the most timely is going, hey, I know you're a dealer. I know you got Mercedes. Here's a phone call. And that's about 450 dealers out there that have Mercedes. But what's even more hungry, that we should be more hungry for is these auto groups, because you may see them, you may drive by it every day and go, oh, that's a Mercedes deal. Half the time that dealership is either very large or it's part of a very big auto group and the whole thing is going to need it. So, yeah.
So one person chimed in. So is this basically NIST for auto dealers, starting with Mercedes? So NIST is National Institute of Standards and Technologies.
I think you're close. I think the answer is kind of yes, but here's the deal. NIST to me is more like ISO. It's a very big, broad thing, right? They did try to make a more streamlined thing, but the answer is generally yes. It's a framework that they're going to have to do and has to be audited.
Yeah. All right. Another question. Who should we contact at the org? So what are the roles? General manager, controller, looking for the demographic to data mine for marketing. If we do not have Mercedes-Benz contacts, would this apply to any non-US auto dealer like BMW or Jaguar?
Yeah, I recommend going after either general managers. Sometimes they have a position called a controller. I know we've seen this in many other, but they deal with the money. But what I've noticed in automotive is for some reason, they love to make them the compliance person. And usually it's a woman that's handling the money and the billing and is not really a compliance person. And they're usually a very powerful advocate for, I don't know compliance. This isn't fair for me. And the last would be the IT director, whoever that is, right? He or she. But that compliance, that controller position, I don't know why it has generally become the compliance position. And they're going, I'm accounting. Like, why is this falling on me? And so I've noticed that they're actually a very big advocate for us. They'll get it and go, yep, I know exactly what it is. Please come in because I don't want this on my plate and around my neck. So, but yeah, I would say those three: controller, general manager. Now, if you know an owner, you can always do that because the owners got it first. In fact, that's why the trickle-down effect was very confusing from Mercedes. They sent it to the principals, but they didn't know. They didn't like forward it down. They didn't trickle it down. It was also during the holidays. So you could do that, but I think those three are the best options.
Cool. Let's see if there's any other questions. I guess one last one that just came in. So how urgent is this really?
Yeah, it's extraordinarily urgent. One, because think of it this way. The timeliness of getting them all meeting the standard, but two, everybody at the end is going to need an audit at the same time. And those auditors are going to go, I don't have time for you. So it's a first come, first serve. There is, and this is going to be discussed at NADA significantly. I'm already being brought into conversations and everything at this big national convention that we do. So coming out of NADA, which is what, Rob? February. It's like the second week in February.
It's next week.
Is it? Okay.
February 3rd through 6th, starting next Tuesday.
So coming from what's going to come out of that, people are going to be like, where are the answers? Where are the options? I have many, many, many different meetings just on this. And they're just like, hey, man, what do you think? What do you think? And these are big, big auto groups that are wanting to meet on this. So, yeah. So coming out of that is going to be prime time. Prime time.
Yeah. So we're at this point ahead of the game. We have an opportunity to work together and partner and drive drive a lot of business together. So I guess I'll pause here. Dave, do you want to chime in before we wrap up?
Yeah, just quick question, right? So we go in there, we do the gap assessment. It's a fixed fee, small monthly recurring. What are you seeing coming outside of the gap assessment in terms of opportunities? Are we talking about cybersecurity contracts, compliance contracts, managed IT contracts? There's revenue on the back end of this. The way I've seen the Mercedes thing translate over the past 30 days is this is kind of the tip of the spear for our trusted advisors to get in the deal.
Yeah, and thank you, Dave. The average MRR that we get with them is about 10 grand a month and up. So when you look at this and go, oh, it's just 8K and then that's 500 and this seems right. No, the average on the secondary is about 10 grand MRR a month of what we get for the ongoing from that point on. And it goes all the way up depending on how far they want to go with IT help and cyber help and, in size and scope. But the average has been 10 grand MRR.
Yeah. So yeah, again, to the trusted advisors that are out there, this is brand new to the industry, brand new to Mercedes dealerships that are out there. It's an incredible opportunity to really get ahead of the game. It gives you something brand new to talk about in the industry. And if you're in the automotive vertical, fantastic. You're one step ahead. If you want to get in the automotive vertical, this is a great way to do it. And honestly, because there's a timeline, there's an impending event. That's why we've got this call going on right now, which is it's a call to action. And after this call, the one thing I will say, if you scan the QR code, book a meeting, we'll get the experts on the phone with you. We can go through in more detail, but that's from me. Rob, thank you for hosting. Justin, thanks for the information. I'll throw it back to you, Rob, to close us out.
Yeah, I said a request to go back to the QR code. Let me put that back up. Yeah, thanks, Kevin. There you go. And that QR code, link straight to a calendar. You go ahead and book a meeting with us right now, and we can get that conversation started. All right, so I'll give that another minute or so. I guess with that, if anybody has any other questions, please feel free to pop those in. We'll let it go another 30 seconds or so. If with that, just want to appreciate, thank you for taking the time to join the discussion today. Any questions, please feel free to reach out, secure@itsasap.com, or go ahead and scan that QR code, and happy to have a conversation and drive some business together.
Yep.
So with
And
that,
last thing I'll say, if anybody has a problem with the QR code, it's dave.dyas@itsasap.com. You can email me directly. The QR code is going to go directly to Jason Fontana's calendar, and we'll coordinate all the resources for you. So thank you, everybody, for joining.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and pop that into the chat. There you go. Everyone should be seeing your email there, Dave.
Sounds good.
Alrighty. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time. And thanks, Justin. Appreciate the help.